The procedure shows how to prepare for a broadcast on television, radio, or a recorded message. A satellite, radar, or a floating buoy in the water are used to acquire the first clues about what is going on. The buoy transmits a synoptic chart to a central computer, which then distributes information to the numerous broadcasts, while the satellite delivers a photo and the radar makes a radar screen. Before broadcasting, all information must first be transferred to a computer. Australian wheat exports in tonnes are shown in the pie chart below. The bulk of Australia's wheat exports were of the general purpose kind, totaling 25,109 metric tonnes. The 6,309 metric tonnes of organic wheat exported from Australia were the smallest amount. For the vast majority of exports, wheat used for general purposes was the most popular, while organic wheat was less popular. Solar panels are connected to a battery system for DC power or an inverter for AC power in this diagram to demonstrate how light is transformed to energy. The sun's irradiance powers solar panels. To create DC power, the solar panel's electrical current is routed via a charge controller and finally to a battery system. Alternatively, one may use an inverter to create AC power from a battery system. The numerous phases of transforming light into electricity may be seen in this procedure. This bar chart displays the mobile phone subscriptions of developed and developing nations from 2000 to 2008. In 2000, there were roughly 0.4 billion subscribers in poor nations and around 0.6 billion subscriptions in affluent countries. In 2008, subscriptions in developing nations had surged to 4 billion while subscriptions in rich countries only grew to 1 billion. Overall, the number of subscribers in developing nations greatly surpassed the number of subscriptions in affluent countries by 2008. Students who worked between the ages of 14 and 18 are depicted in this bar graph. In the 14-year-old age group, 24 kids did not work, while only one student did. A total of 14 pupils in the 16-year-old age group opted out of working, while 11 kids did. 3 students in the 18-year-old age group were unemployed, while 22 students were employed. Overall, the number of pupils who worked grew as they grew older. In 2010, the percentage of school-aged boys participating in 5 different sports in the United Kingdom was compared between 2 age groups. A total of 87% of 8-11-year-old boys participated in football, while 78% of 12-16-year-old males did the same. There were just 19% of participants in both age categories who participated in swimming. The data in the table also demonstrates that boys of both sexes participate in a wide range of sports. Among males aged 6 to 11, football is the most popular sport, while swimming is the least so. The graphic conveys critical information on the world's population growth. On the x-axis, we have the years 1750 to the present, as well as a projection for 2050. The y-axis, on the other hand, is labeled 0 to 10 billion. The graph includes data from both emerging and developed countries. The graph clearly shows that emerging countries throughout the world are already dealing with large populations, and by 2050, the situation will be far worse, with a population of 10 billion. Though the population of industrialized nations will grow in the future, it is now under control. I may infer that until 1950, the population of both sorts of nations remained relatively stable, but suddenly surged. Graham Land is highlighted on this map of Antarctica, with a red box placed over the region. Next to the Weddell Sea, the Graham Land Peninsula is located. It is near the Ron Ice Shelf, sandwiched between the South Orkney Islands and the Amundsen Sea. The map depicts a variety of areas in Antarctica, with Graham Land standing out. The bar graph indicates how many kilograms of potatoes were consumed from Monday to Sunday. On Sunday, we ate 35 kilograms of potatoes, and on Wednesday, we ate 20 kilos, 30 kilos. On Thursday, 10 kilograms, and Friday, the least potatoes were devoured, 15 kilos. Potato consumption was at its highest on Sunday and at its lowest on Thursday. This is a graph displaying the global monthly average of carbon dioxide in parts per million. After adjusting for the normal seasonal cycle, the dashed red line shows the worldwide monthly mean values of carbon dioxide. From 2013 to 2018, the graph indicates that the worldwide monthly average of carbon dioxide has steadily climbed. It was lowest at 394 parts per million in 2013 and highest at 405 parts per million in 2017. Generally speaking, the worldwide monthly average of carbon dioxide was lowest for 2013 and highest for 2017. The chart below displays data on New Zealand's home prices. According to the graph, we can clearly observe that New Zealand has the highest number in 2014, which is approximately 280. The smallest number was recorded in 1992, when there were around 100 people. The graph shows that when looking at the OECD as a whole, the highest figure was approximately 140 in 2008. There were roughly 100 in 1998, which is the lowest number. This graph indicates that property prices in New Zealand have climbed significantly over the past several years. Figures from 2000 to 2005 show the causes of forest loss in the Brazilian Amazon. By a wide measure, cattle ranching is the primary driver of deforestation. Small-scale agriculture accounts for between 20 and 25% of deforestation worldwide. Then there's industrial farming, 5 to 10%, logging, 2 to 3%, and other things, 1 to 2%. Deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon is mostly due to cattle ranching, with logging and other activities having the least influence. The pie chart shows what percentage of individuals are well versed in money management. More than half, 55%, of respondents said they were somewhat organized, while 21% said they were extremely so. 20% of people are unorganized, despite just 4% of people being completely unorganized. Generally speaking, the vast majority of individuals are pretty organized, whereas a small minority is completely unorganized. Using percentages, this graph displays the countries of origin of legal immigrants to the United States between 1992 and 2012. In 1992, the majority of immigrants came from Latin America and the Caribbean, 44%. Immigrants from the Asia-Pacific region and Latin America, the Caribbean, made up the bulk of the country's foreign-born population in 2012. 38%. Only 2% of immigrants came from North America in 1992 and 1% in 2012, making it the least prevalent location of origin. More immigrants from Latin America Caribbean arrived in the United States in 1992 and 2002 than those from North America. It is easy to see which countries are the most networked ready by looking at this map. At a score of 5.4 to 7, North America, Australia, and Northern Europe were the most well-connected regions, while Africa was the least well-connected. In both Africa and Greenland, there were large swaths of territory that were completely ignored. In general, developed countries are network ready, but emerging and poor countries aren't. This line graph shows the long-term changes in temperature, in degrees Celsius, carbon dioxide, in parts per million by volume, and dust concentration, in parts per million by volume. Carbon dioxide concentrations appear to rise in tandem with rising temperatures. Carbon dioxide levels of 300 ppmv coincided with a rise in temperature of about 4 degrees Celsius 325,000 years ago. Temperatures were lower in areas with greater dust concentrations. As an illustration, A-8C temperature change approximately 260,000 years ago correlated with a rise in dust concentration of 1 ppm. Over the course of millennia, temperature, carbon dioxide, and dust concentrations fluctuated dramatically. The tabular chart compares the number of wastes which were produced in 6 countries in the years 1980, 1990 and 2000. In each of these years, the US produced more waste than Ireland, Japan, Korea, Poland and Portugal combined. It is also noticeable that Korea was the only country that managed to reduce its waste output by the year 2000. Between 1980 and 2000, waste production in the US rose from 131 to 192 million tons, and rising trends were also seen in Japan, Poland and Portugal. In Ireland, waste production increased more than eightfold, from only 0.6 million tons in 1980 to 5 million tons in 2000. Korea, by contrast, cut its waste output by 12 million tons between 1990 and 2000. The graph below shows the relationship between moon and fish. The fish are at the bottom of the water, as we can see for the first quarter moon. Fish begin to swim higher and are found in the center of the sea as they progress to the next stage. Then, when the full moon arrives, the fish are dispersed across the water. Finally, during the last quarter moon, the fish are found near the sea's surface. Finally, the image demonstrates that the moon and fish are closely connected. The percentage of Japan's tuna exports to various areas is shown in the table from 2015 to 2016. Oceania and North America received 35% and 30% of all tuna shipments, respectively, while the Middle East received 3% and Africa received 2%. Despite this, imports of tuna from the Middle East increased by 60% over the previous year, while those from the continent of Africa decreased by 17%. Overall, tuna from Japan was most popular in Oceania and North America, while the Middle East had the greatest growth in exports. The image seems to be a kind of a pie chart that is divided into 5 different size portions showing the healthy options to eat. Bigger the portion, healthier the food. The different parts of the plate suggest various edible items to bring in homeostasis, or physical and mental balance. There are 2 large portions of the plate, one shows fruits and vegetables, and the other one has bread, rice, potatoes, and pasta. Slightly little than those portions are the parts of milk or dairy products, and poultry and meat. The smallest part of the eatable plate is of foods and beverages having high fats and sugars. Overall, we can conclude that to remain alive and kicking we should be eating a very well-balanced diet.